Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Let's start off from the Ashanti region, where doctors at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital say they don't want to be used as instruments of morbidity and mortality. They have expressed outrage in a strongly worded letter to the facility CEO following the death of 5 persons due to oxygen shortage. The doctors are complaining about the absence of basic working tools, which they say is creating psychological problems for them. Derek Ekosam joins me in the studio with details of the letter signed by Chairman of the Komfo Anokye Doctors Association, Dr. Michael Liat. Eko, what more does this statement say?
Well, according to the statement, the once-touted flagship, what they used to call the Center of Excellence, according to them, is fast becoming a death trap for all and sundry. And they complain about the lack of readily available and sustainable oxygen. According to them, oxygen is linked to life, and so its absence leads to death. Now, they have had patients come to the hospital, and they have to be put on oxygen, but they don't have oxygen. And now when they have patients coming in, they don't even know whether to admit them or not, because they don't know when the supply of oxygen will come and when it will end. And so for them, it's a bit of a dicey situation admitting patients who need to be put on oxygen. Beyond this,
there is also concern about cash and carry system at the facility, as well as concerns about blood transfusion. What more can you say about
that? Well, according to the statement, when you come in there, now you need to pay for the service, especially when it's an emergency situation. And so for them, for example, if I come in there and I am not originally from Kumasi, I'm on transit, and then I suddenly fall ill, and I don't have money on me, or I don't have my relatives around to pay for that, they find themselves in a limbo because they don't know whether they should admit me or turn me away because I may not have money to pay for the services. And then again, they say it's in a bad state and it worsens the morbidity and mortality, and it leads to overcrowding and congestion at the emergency unit. They also have complaints about the transfusion service. You need to pay 70 cedis to access any of the blood products, and they think it's also in a bad taste. Now, I want to read portions of the statement. It says, as doctors, we are sick and tired of presiding over death pirates and being instruments of Hades as opposed to being life bringers. They also say that we are becoming shells of horror because of the constant psychological assaults that we encounter daily. And they say that in the light of the above, we refuse to be used as instruments of morbidity and mortality, as you said. We cannot work in an emergency unit which does not have a readily available and sustainable source of oxygen, which cannot assure clients of emergency drugs in their times of need. And they actually say that the system cannot sustain our children when they are unwell. The same system cannot accommodate even you. That's the chief executive officer they're addressing this letter to. So they are telling the chief executive officer that, well, the situation here is bad, and that even you, should you fall ill unexpectedly, it will be difficult for us to accommodate you, especially when you need oxygen.
It seems they've had it up to their necks. Do they give any recommendations as to how this problem could be solved in this statement?
Well, they hope that this becomes a wake-up call for the CEO to act on, and they expect that things will return to normal. They'll have the best of services. If not, they will lay down their tools.
Thank you very much, Derek Ekosam, bringing us details of a statement issued by the Doctors Association at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. Meanwhile, the CEO of the hospital has been speaking to us on the Super Morning Show of Joy FM, and we'll bring that to you very shortly. Still ahead in this bulletin, the $13.9 million Vice President accommodation issue lingers on. We'll have the Ghana Institution of Surveyors in the studio for a discussion. Still to come in this bulletin as well, 14 students of Kumasi Technical Institute hospitalized and 48 others detained following a clash with police last night. We'll also have a report on how illegal mining is threatening cocoa production. Let's move on to other stories here. And the Ghana Institution of Surveyors is asking government to do an independent probe into the building of an accommodation for Vice President of Ghana. In a statement, the group says this has become necessary to pave way for clarity on the matter. The call comes following controversy on the actual cost of the project. Whilst the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says he's learned it is costing the country $13.9 million, General Secretary of the Opposition, NDC, says it is costing Ghana over $5 million. And there are some other figures going around as well. But let's have a discussion on this. I'm joined in the studio now by the Vice Chair of the Governing Council and also Council Member of the Quantity Surveying Division of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Kofi Obin Ayiribi. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
First of all, we want to know what information do you have on this particular project?
Thank you. At the moment, as a professional body, and for that matter, Ghana Institution of Surveyors, we don't have absolutely any information. As professional bodies, sitting back and listening to issues that relate to our practice, and with those, a lot of information being bundled around, that is why the call came that, look, we need to step in and, if supported by the stakeholders involved, do an independent inquiry. That is where all the facts and information will be made available for us to inform the nation as to what has gone on, whether untold or in any case, as probably we can put it. So as we speak, we don't have any specific documents that we can speak to. We just listening to what is being bundled on the radio and the airwaves, and people around, you are costed, what is happening, what is that, we don't know.
So you are just admitting here that you don't have information, any information at all regarding this project. So on what basis do you call for independent probe when the Vice President has said that it cost the country 13.9?
Yes, the Vice President has said it cost the country 30.9, but his statement has also been contradicted by some other figures who are also Ghanaians, who probably might have been with the project all this while. And in order to make sure there is clarity and there is full disclosure and understanding of what really happened, that is why we're calling for that independent inquiry to disabuse the mind of Ghanaians as to what probably went wrong in the project implementation, because what is going on falls directly in our domain as professionals.
So what specifically do you want in this probe?
There are a lot of issues at stake when it comes to project implementation. The way the project was even conceptualized is something that probably we need to look at. We're looking at the procurement, how it was procured.
Hold on, before you move to the procurement, if you say the way the project was conceptualized, what exactly do you mean by that?
A client will ask a professional to come out with a design or of a facility, whether physical infrastructure for that matter, being building roads and what have you. There are specific requirements the client will tell you, the designer, for you to go by. So that is what we mean by the inception of the project. What did the client tell the consultants?
Do you have any information regarding what the client might have told whoever is involved?
Well, all we know is a residential facility for the Vice President. And for that matter, professionals were involved. We had AESL bill mentioned, and some of our members are also in AESL. So if we sit down and all these things are said, people didn't know exactly what has gone on. So we want to come in and make sure there is clarity, there is understanding. Like I said, there are a lot of issues involved in project development. It's not just seeing the facility there. What really have gone on? That has moved the project. Initially we had, when we had the Vice President figure, well, it didn't end. Other people came in, 3.5. We had so many figures. Right now, we don't know exactly what is at stake as far as the nation is concerned.
Before you continue with the other points which you're saying are involved in terms of a project like this, I still want to talk about the conceptualization you talk about. You just mentioned how the project was conceptualized. And already you earlier admitted that you have no information regarding this project. So are you not saying something contradictory? You don't have information yet. You are also looking at how it was conceptualized. How do you come by the fact that it was not conceptualized well in this case?
That is not what we are saying. What we keep saying is that figures have been bundled around. The figures might be true or false. The figures might be low or high, depending on how, like I'm saying, right from the inception up to this stage, what has really gone on. Because you want to look at the conceptualization as one aspect, you want to look at the procurement of the project on the another leg, you want to look at the contract management on the other, and the implementation. So there are a whole lot of things. It's not like one fits thing that you can say, oh, this is it, let's go in for it. So let's find out fairly, so that no one sit down and said, oh, I did the right thing, but unfortunately, the right information didn't go out, and therefore they are being crucified as a professional.
How many states projects is your group privy to?
There are a lot of, our members are virtually all over the country. They are superintending on virtually all the government projects and private projects around the country.
So how is your knowledge of such projects going on influencing your decision to call for independent probe into this matter, for instance?
Why is our coming in is being very critical is because of the sort of misunderstanding in the minds of people. Obviously, some are professionals who really probably might understand what is going on. Some too are lay people, they see figures and probably shout at them. But like I said, the figures can be right, it can be high, it can be low, depending on the issues that are at stake. And that is why we said, in order to set everybody's heart at ease, let's come in, take away the people who were the real actors. That is the government. AESL will be there. At a point they will be called to certainly find out exactly what has gone on. The client who is normally represented by the Minister of Water Resources or Works and Housing will also come in. So then once we have all these things and we go in, we'll be able to at least, if nothing at all, come out with the real cost. If something has untowardly gone wrong, we'll be able to make some recommendation as to the way forward so that it becomes a lesson that all of us as a nation we will learn from.
Fortunately, you've just said that you are involved in a lot of states projects ongoing.
Yes.
Per your assessment and the knowledge you have through these other state projects you're involved in, how much do you think they should have cost us?
I can't speak to it because, like I said, I don't even have the designs. You can't just hear figures, look at pictorial information being thrown about and speak to.
But already, because finish your statement.
Yeah, because the design is one thing. The implementation of the project is also another. Where can we say it went wrong? It has moved from, say, let's say the 5 million is what people are saying is right. It's moved from 5 billion, and we are now being told it's 13.9, almost 14 billion. What has gone on?
But in your statement, you said that you are the expert in this, and you should be consulted in terms of the independent probe you're calling for, as well as all the other costs. So, I mean, setting out clearly means that you have an idea what it means to construct such a thing in terms of money, how much it costs.
You probably will have an idea, but there is a lot more to it than what we see.
So looking at that, you said you probably might have an idea. So I'm interested, what is the idea?
I can't speak to, because like I said, I don't have the designs. In me, it's all
pictorial. The building is here, and I'm sure you like you said, you monitored.
It's all pictorial, and probably you drive past. What is in the structure itself?
But you see, I'm struggling to get you because you were saying that you are the expert.
Yes.
You've done a lot of stuff into projects like this.
Yes.
You've actually willingly said that if the states want your involvement, they should come to you because you can help with ensuring that everything is established. And you're telling me that you've already expressed your willingness, and as at now, you still can't express the idea as to how much it was supposed to cost us?
My sister, that would be dangerous because as we speak, the pictorial information there, the total floor area for the facility, we don't even know. So that is what I'm saying. If we come in, all the issues involved will be made known, because in developing a project, there are highs, there are lows. There are standard specifications that is acceptable worldwide that we also go by. However, somebody can decide to go beyond the standard specification.
Okay.
Somebody can decide, look, we are saying the strength of a block work is, say, 20 newtons, it's technical, 20 newtons per millimeter when you do the crash test, but I don't have money. I'll go for one that is 5 newtons. In that case, you will see the project standing there, but no two projects are the same. You have project of that same design there that you see, but it might not cost the same amount. So depending on what the real specifications are, depending on what has gone on during the project implementation. For instance, a project can be developed up to a point. The client walks to the side, they say, look, this wall I don't like, break it down. When it is finished eventually, you go and see the actual project standing. But as to the walls that have been broken down by raising here and there, you won't see. And all those things are taken into consideration in determining the total project cost. So that is why we say we don't have all the detailed information. And you cannot look at it and throw a figure out. Let us have it. Then we probably can sit down and do the real analysis.
So the Ghana Institution of Surveyors wants to be the group to probe this issue?
We are not saying we want to be the group. What all we are saying is that in order to bring clarity, sanity into this whole brouhaha, let there be an independent inquiry.
But you asked in your statement that you are brought in.
No, yes, I haven't ended, my dear. If there are two options, the government can decide to bring professionals who obviously are members, assemble them together and ask them to go. But we are saying as an independent professional body, we are also available. If the government wants us to take it up, why not? We'll be prepared to do so because we are all serving the nation. But the government can decide to bring people who they believe can do the work. We want to, as it were, because obviously there are a lot of implications in the outcome. As far as our professional members who were involved at the AESL and other places are concerned, there are a lot of implications as far as even the client is concerned.
So you've expressed your willingness to help the government in probing this or being selected as one of the agents to probe this. And you're telling me that as at now, your group does not have information on this. So imagine if the government called you, say tomorrow or this week, let's say a week's time, to come and probe, what information do you have to submit to the government that this is what as professionals we have and this is why you think you must involve us?
They will have to lead the whole investigation because the information will come from the actors. I said the government is involved, those who were the actual consultants will also be involved. They will give us the information. Then based on the information available, we probably will do the analysis and critique and be able to come out. For all you know, something went wrong during the implementation, we don't know. So all these things feed into the supposed cause that we now talking about. As a lay person, when we hear, oh, such a building is so high, yes, but how high and how low, we cannot determine unless we go into it. Because these days, there is something we call smart. Some buildings are designed to be smart, like we have our smartphones. And the one facility in it can throw a whole project off. Therefore, go into it and establish all the parameters. Then you can analyze and come out with something that, looking at all the information available, looking at the specifications and everything that is involved, we believe this will be the cost. Then that one will bring conclusion to all what is happening.
Like you said earlier, you have knowledge of a lot of ongoing government projects. What is your interest in this one, really?
It's because of the confusion that it came out. One person said this, another person said that. We don't know what is happening. More so, our members are involved in a way.
Your final words, Mr. Obian-Yeribi.
My final word is that we still, per the statement that was released by the institution, we are humbly appealing that in order to bring sanity into the project, or this project and other future projects, let there be some independent assessment or inquiry into it. We probably to be involved, value for money and all the rest, so that if for nothing at all, there will be some lessons that all of us will learn from this moving forward as a nation, so that nobody will, as it were, throw certain information that the person do not have the competence probably to, as it were, lay those claims. That is why we are calling for the independent inquiry.
Thank you very much, Kofi Obeng Ayeribi. He's a governing council member and vice chair, Quantity Surveying Division of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. We'll go to Kumasi and bring you that story about the riots at the Kumasi Technical Institute. But before we go into that story, kindly watch this.
Please,
So you just saw that briefly, and we know that 14 students of the Kumasi Technical Institute have been hospitalized and 48 others detained following a clash with the police last night. It's unclear what triggered the confrontation, but reports suggest security personnel chased the student from the Babaya Stadium into their dormitories amid firing of tear gas. Police declined initial comment on the incident, though enraged school authorities quote them as suggesting the student was cited for rioting. Erastus Saridonko, my colleague with Love FM, has been following the story. He's currently at the school. He joins us live on the telephone line. Erastus, what can you tell us? What is happening from the school at the school?
Well, if you can hear the noise, I'm standing just at the entrance, between the entrance of the Kumasi Technical Institute and the WAEC office, the street in front of the WAEC office. And we have about, let's say, 10 police officers on the other side of the road with about 2 vehicles parked on the other side of the road. We have a number, over 500 students, red armbands and headgears on their heads, holding sticks and other things and chanting songs on the other side of the road. Now, they have been provoked since morning about the continued detention of their colleagues. And so they are asking for their immediate release. And then subsequently, after the education minister left the campus, they came out and saw that there is a police vehicle approaching from the other end of the WAEC office. And so they asked the police vehicle to go back. But the officer, I saw some lecturers go to talk to him that he should use another road because the students are charging towards where he is. But then he still stayed there, and currently I can see 2 more police vehicles coming in, about 10 police officers in helmets standing on the other side of the road, and these students also are daring them to come forward and see what they can do. And so it's a tense moment at the moment. The educational minister came here, listened to the students' pleas. He was worried that police personnel will come in here. He said, and I quote, "I have seen live bullets, I have seen rubber bullets, I have seen indications of the firing of tear gas, and I'm so surprised that something like that could happen in a school, and the police will be provoked to that extent to storm a school, storm dormitories, fire shots into lecturers' bungalows and students, endangering their lives." And so he said he was going to listen to the side of the police, and then he will take a decision later on.
But
there's a tense, yeah.
Yes, finish your statement.
Come again.
Okay, what I wanted to ask is, looking at how tense the situation is, would you say the police is able to manage the situation as of now, looking at what is happening?
Well, I think it's the presence of the police, rather, which is infuriating the students, because early on, they were inside the campus and things had calmed down, but it's only when they saw the police approaching that they came out in their numbers and started chanting songs and trying some bravado moves in front of the school campus. So I must say that it's the presence of the police that is eliciting some form of reaction from the students here, who claim that the policemen subjected them to various levels of brutality, some of them showing scars and cuts on their bodies to them and daring them to come forward and taste something. So as the presence of the few police personnel who are standing a few meters from the gate, which is attracting that kind of reaction from them.
Erastus, let's talk about the students. Would you say that what happened last night is a one-off thing, or generally that's how the students are?
Well, the Kumasi Technical Institute students is a known thing that everybody knows that there are radical groups amongst them. And so whenever they go for the inter-school colleges, it's a story of clashes, not with the police alone every year, but with other student groups as well. There is this charismatic nature of theirs, and where they bring it to the fore when they come to such inter-colleges. And so that behavior is there. Triggered yesterday's and the subsequent brutalities, the level of beating in their own dormitories has somehow bruised their ego, and they are going all out now.
Earlier, you talked about the school authorities also involved in this matter. How have they told you they are dealing with the situation?
A short while ago, I saw the Regional Director of Education come into the campus with the Educational Minister, together with the Principal, Dr. Apri. They said that they are going to the Central Police Headquarters and to see to the release of the 5 students in custody. That's what I heard the Regional Director of Education say. And the Educational Minister was also saying that he's also going to the Central Police Headquarters to hear the side of the police and be able to draw a line as to what should be done next concerning this whole thing. So that has been the reaction from authorities at the moment. Erastus
Saridonko, don't go off the line yet. We can now hear from ASP Mohammed Tanko. He speaks for the police in the Ashanti region. He's been speaking to Kojo Yangsi on the Super Morning Show about this incident.
We have 35 of the students now with us, including those who were arrested in the afternoon.
So explain to us how the police ended up in the dormitories and how they were able to identify those who were involved in the disturbance and those who were not.
You know, a lot of students participated in this. And I told you we arrested some where the incident happened. Some of them ran into the campus after they had perpetrated such acts, and police pursued them and had some of them arrested. According to the officers, some of them had some bands on their hair. Those made it easier for them to pick those ones and arrested them. Yeah.
So you know, everybody who was arrested had a band on their head?
Not everybody who was arrested.
Yeah, so how were they able to determine?
You have to understand that when incidents like this happened, we cannot be 100% sure that all those who will be arrested will be part of those who perpetrated the act. That's when we have to get that straight, because we will not use, we don't have, it is not magic that we're going to use, but we ensure that we identified most of the guys who perpetrated the act, and in so doing, 1 or 2 persons might be arrested who may not have done anything wrong. That's why, in the end, they will be screened, and those who did not perpetrate any act will be allowed to go.
Are any of the police officers involved injured?
Yes, 5 of them. I said it earlier that 5 of them got injured, and 3 police vehicles were smashed.
Okay, tell us the nature of these injuries.
They were not very serious injuries, they were minor injuries.
Okay, so the blood on the walls in these dormitories are from the students?
Yeah, I have not seen the blood on those walls.
Yes, we've seen the photographs. Our journalist has been there. So yes, there is blood on these walls. Can you tell us what will happen to those who have been arrested?
We will have to subject them to screening, and if it comes out that all of them were involved, then the law will take its course against them. And if some of them too are innocent persons, those persons will be released to go, and no charge will be preferred against them.
Okay. Now, you're aware that 14 of the students are in hospital. Are you aware of the circumstances that have led to them being hospitalized?
I have not received any reports of 14 of them being in hospital, but I think this is a valuable information that you've just given. So we will detail investigators to go to those hospitals, even if you can help us with some of the hospitals, so that we will go and identify those students and also see the extent of their injury, and all this will help in the investigations that will be conducted.
So that was ASP Mohammed Tanko. He speaks for the police in the Ashanti region, giving us the police's account of what actually happened last night. Erastus Asaridonko is still on the line with us. Erastus, do you have anything to say regarding what ASP Tanko just said? We lost Erastus Asaridonko on the line there, but you're still watching News Desk on Joy News. And stay with us. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away.